Creating real wealth takes time. That's why it's important to get started right now. Come by West Tennessee Bank and we'll go over our many different savings plans and we'll find one that meets your needs. West Tennessee Bank, a division of Decatur County Bank. We think you'll like us. Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Before we get into the minutes, I'd like to congratulate our Honorable Johnny Ferris, who got awarded the Citizen of the Year. Johnny has served this city for going on 27 years. He's one of the longest serving aldermen, really in the history of the city of Henderson, as far as the Jim Garland research is telling us. So, I kind of congratulate you, Johnny, and a well-deserved award.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the citizens of Henderson and the residents and citizens of Chester County for all the years that they've put up with me, so to speak. I think a lot of you know me, a lot of you know the Stone, and all the older people that you know who I am. I just appreciate what this city and this county has done for me. I'm just proud of them, so any passions that I can. Thank you.
Okay, first item on the agenda are the minutes. Are there any corrections? Are there any amendments to the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda are accounts. There's no vote required on the count. If you have any question on any of the bills, please give us the page and the number, please.
There wasn't a question, Jim, but on the utility account, number 16, the helping hands payment, where it's getting a little warmer. How's the funds holding out on it? Does that pay them all out?
I'm gonna pass that to Alicia. Holder.
We still have a little bit of helping hands fund. We reserve those for people that are truly in need.
That may be something we need to encourage more people to sign up, to have a little bit
We
deducted.
only have about $80 a month going in there.
Any other questions on any of our accounts? Okay. Next item is delegations. Let me try to explain to the group how I would, if it's okay with the alderman, how we'd like to do this. First thing is, I think you see that we have one ordinance on here, that Bill Bobby, that is being delayed until next month. I think the police department has done some things in trying to correct that problem, and we're going to see, and we'll come back next month on that. So that is off the agenda, and that would move the Southern Prep up. But how we're going to do it on the delegations is, I know we have a huge audience here from Southern Prep. So what we're going to do is, if you're here on any other reason and want to address the board, you can come up now. And then after we do that, then I'll still stay on our delegations, and I'll let Southern Prep. I want to be very clear to everybody in this room that if you want to speak, we'll make arrangements for you to speak. If we're here to midnight, we'll be here to midnight. But I want anybody pro, forward, against it, or whatever you are, if you want to speak, I want to make sure that everybody gets to speak. But once we get through with delegations, then we will move to the line item, and we'll to the city, then the alderman will deal with that. Now, once we do that, if the alderman want to ask any of the board members on Southern Prep questions, they will do that, and that's fine. But one thing that we're not going, we'll try not to have, and I don't think it's going to do us any good, is to have a kind of a running debate from one side, debating trying to something. We're just not going to do that. But also, I'm going to ask that everybody, let's be civil here. It's really important. I think everybody wants to do for the county, or this in this city too. And so let's try to be civil tonight. Let's try to really work hard and be civil. And that includes me. Because sometimes y'all know I lose my temper and I will work hard to bite my tongue and behave. So I know that we really need to do that. So if anybody has anything they want to address the board on separate from Southern Prep, it's not Southern Prep. We're not doing Southern Prep right now. We're doing anything else that somebody needs to come up to city here, please come forward. Well, it's not Southern Prep yet. I'm just saying, if anybody else has anything to do, if anybody wants to talk about any other thing, any other group, because once we get to Southern Prep, we're gonna stand, we're gonna do Southern Prep. If anybody, I think Miss Sylvia, you were here at the county meeting, do you have anything that you want to address? Miss Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Rex, do you have anything that you want to address?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's take yours, because that's your place. Why don't you come up and we'll do yours, and we'll talk to you about yours. Please come on up. I think that might sound good.
Good evening to Mayor King and to the Alderman Committee and to the citizens of Henderson and each and every one of you tonight. Everyone that's in the house, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate what you were saying earlier, as us conducting ourselves in a civil manner. And that's what we do here in Chester County, that we, even if we agree to disagree, we can still conduct ourselves in a manner. But what I wanted to speak in reference to tonight, I wanted to just to clear the air to let everyone know that I am not fighting against Southern Prep. I'm not fighting against what's being done for child care in Chester County, because it is a much needed situation. But I did want to address the fact that letting everyone know that my Tender Loving Enrichment Center has been in Chester County for over a period of 25 years. Some of you know, I'm sure you've seen it on the corner there of Blue and 4th Street, where we reside there. And we are licensed there and have been a 3-star center for quite some time there. My concern is that if any provisions are given, if anything is given in reference to renovation or anything that needs to be done pertaining to any type of buildings or facilities pertaining to child care, I would like to be considered in that as well. That's my concern. If anything is going to be done across the board, fairness, if I could have that opportunity as well for our facility. It's a humble building that needs much repair, but that's have served in the community, and even some of the people that's serving in the city grew up at Tender Loving Child Care Center. They're now officers, or they work in the various areas, nursing facilities, or for the city, the county. I love what I do. Early childhood education is needed, and like I said, I am not here for, we're not against anyone getting any type of funds. I just want to be considered in that as well across the board if allocations are made. Thank you so much.
Do you have any questions?
The only thing I have, prior to this meeting, we asked Southern Prep to submit us a packet of their 501c3 documentation that is current, available, and is current. It's not bad. They are 501c3. We asked them to submit a copy of the board of directors to the trust, the people that they have a set of bylaws. That's the things we need from you. If you meet those requirements to consider. We can't just say if we consider this, and we'll automatically consider we can't do that. Because we asked those people for a lot of documentation prior to this. In other words, they came before us last month. We told them what we needed. So we don't have to have all that documentation before we can consider anything. And just so you understand, I'm just trying to clarify there for us.
Yes, sir, and I do understand that, because everything would be in order. We have not prepared anything. We didn't come with
What my suggestion would be is, one is, what Southern Prep has given us tonight is public record. Their forms and everything, and Jim has that. I would give it to Jim, and Jim can walk you through what they got and what they had in the packet. Then ask Jim to put you on the agenda, and we can address that, and we can consider that, address that, when you want to be on the agenda. I mean, you might want to be on the agenda next month, you might be, hey, when I get this done, I want to be on the agenda, so that get with Jim and say, when you want to be on the agenda.
Well, what I will do, I will be meeting with my board. We will meet and we will talk about that. We will discuss that and in that time frame and get that together.
If you need any of us, if you need Jim or anything else, we'll just get with him, and anything you need, we'll give you that information.
I appreciate that. I do hope that you all would, as a committee that would come to me requesting that. I did have a situation that occurred, that I did have a gentleman, a commissioner, that did call requesting that information in reference from on the county side, and I understand that was pretty much a dead
suggestion, not just a suggestion I have, is give us a project. One thing that we did, one thing that, in my opinion, was when Southern Prep came to us was that we can't fund your daily operations. And we realized that, but they were talking about the project. So, you know, I don't know what, I think I'm sure you have a project you got in mind. So, and then also the matching, so give a Jim, get you on the agenda, get us that information, and, or, because here's the thing, and I think I'm clear, and I think it's a misperception. The city and the county, we give to nonprofits. If you look at our nonprofits, we give senior citizens $10,000 a year. The county gives them $10,000, we give them $10,000. They're a nonprofit, and they have a board of directors, but they're in county. We just gave Arts in the Alley last year. The county and the city gave them $15,000. Arts in the Alley, it's a nonprofit. We gave them money. We give Carl Perkins money every year. The difference with that's the debate, because we stopped just before my time. I think that we stopped giving to COVID. And one of the reasons I think some of you on the board was they're not in Chester County. But Carl Perkins has an office here, and their board is a Chester County and City Henderson board. So we give them money, and the county gives them money. We give Dixie Youth money every year. County has a lot of cases in their budget money for Dixie. That's a nonprofit. City, you just got to look here. I'm just saying this is more for the audience than just for you. Is the city, for example, is a soccer facility. We got the first grant for the soccer, for the first grant at the city park. And really all that parking and drainage was for soccer, the nonprofit. And the city matched $100,000 on the grant, whether it was $100,000 in the paving and the driveway. And so, people, I think it's a lot of that misunderstanding. The city and the counties, and most counties across the state of Tennessee, give to nonprofit, and that's done. So, it's not out of the ordinary we do this. And that's what I'm saying. In yours, I think, tell me, now one thing came to me, I'm just curious. Did you come to the city one time and you all talked about something one time? This is before my time. Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Mayor Henderson was in the office.
And there was discussion, and y'all had discussion and some discussion. So this is, like I say, we have done, you did come to the city one time and had discussion. So what I'm saying is, we do this. This is what the cities and counties do. We deal with nonprofits. We do that.
Right.
So,
And I understand how that.
Were you funded?
No, sir, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. No, ma'am, I wasn't. I was told that there was not money at that time to allocate for what I was requesting at that time. I do understand how that works with the bylaws. We understand how that is. We have a board in place, so we understand, and we're going to, again, we will, just like I said, and I understand you did state that you give funding to nonprofit, and we just want to be considered in that process as well. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
is anybody else besides Southern Prep, is anybody else on any other issue that they would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
First of all, I'm the mayor of Henderson County. I got retired and came back home and bought a home. The first thing I did after I went through our neighborhood, if you remember, Mr. King, I came to your office. When I left here a lot of years ago, we had playgrounds in our neighborhood. We had places to play ball. Matter of fact, people came to play sometimes with my brother. But when I came home, those things didn't exist. There was nothing for our children in the black neighborhoods to do. Nowhere to go. We had places to go play, congregate and play ball. And I asked you about the soccer field there, and you know, our kids nowhere to go. And you said, well, you know, city don't have money for the high school, which actually a black landmark, one of the last black segregated schools, which in Lexington, Tennessee, you know, was funded and restored. And you said, we just don't have the money for the upkeep of the building. And it's actually the high school owns that building. And my concern was just for the children, like when I grew up and left here, and it made me, and there was nowhere for them to go. I asked for funds. You said one of your big utility payers was Freed Hardeman College. But we just don't have the funds to do that. Now, like my sister, I'm not against anybody that's too advanced or have a business or whatever they do. But it kind of upset me a little bit cares to be able to do and give money to these nonprofits, and we not take care of our own children, our own neighborhoods, because we all look out for our own and our best interests. I love Chester County. I was born and raised here. I respect the Kings. I work for you. Work for Neil Smith, work for Tony Howard. I respect all these men in Chester County. And I want Chester County to prosper. Even with Southern Prep, even with my sister and any other individual here that's wanting to do something. But what I do want is for Chester County to be like it was when I left here. And all of us as a group and family get along. I never, wherever I went, all over the world, when they asked me where I was from, I never lied. I never said I was from Memphis. I never said I was from Jackson. I said I'm from Chester County. They had one red light, and I'm proud of Chester County, and that's why I wanted to come back. But however this goes, I want Southern Prep to know that we are not against them, and my sister is not against them. We just want everything to be like it used to be in First High School for everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Is anybody else would like to address the board at this time? Okay, at this time, we'll start with Southern Prep. Who would like to see who would be the first to speak on Southern Prep?
Like I got stuff with this, like it's all on the show, Mayor King, board Alderman, and board member of the Southern Prep. We right now, we have 50 children on the school. And like, Alderman Ferris said, this is a 501(c), nonprofit organization, some people try to tell us we're getting money out of it, we're ready to get money out of it. None of us get paid a dime. It's all of our labor, our taxes involved in it. This is a program that the church over here on White Avenue ran for several years. They gave that last year. Thank goodness there's someone in the facility and see our children have a place to go. A place to go, a place to stay, how that. And I want to commend him because a few years ago when I was about so tall, we played baseball over off of Midland Avenue. Not Midland, Blue Ridge Street. I called a place called Jumping Jack. We played baseball behind that. But anyway, we didn't go to Jumping Jack, we played ball. But anyway, go back to what I was talking about. Was, like I said, this is an ECD matter. Excuse me, I think my voice, I think the COVID day, so I'll try to get through this as best I can. But like I said, we have 50 students. And we went to the county and asked for $50,000 that we asked y'all for. They turned us down. And I can assure you, we're not gonna stop there. If we get your 50, we're gonna raise that. If we don't get the 50, y'all not out of that. And there's a lady back here that I'm not gonna embarrass her, but she had one of the best posts on Facebook last night I've ever read in my life. And it's all, we go on Facebook and find out a new movie. It was a good client post. In that she stated to some of the teachers that said, you can tell the students that come from Southern Prep, because they're a little bit ahead of the rest of the students because they do teaching there. It's not just a daycare. We've got teachers there that teach. This is one of the most important things for working people is to have a place to turn their children to. So therefore, I think I've said about enough, and I hope if you get any questions, I'll do my best to answer them for you. But don't turn over to somebody that can, because like I said, I'm just on the board. We got 13 board members, is that right? Just have the board members stands on that board. You can see we've got school teachers, we've got professionals, we've got parents, we've got grandparents. Everybody on that has their heart into this. It's something we're gonna do. We're gonna have y'all $50,000 to we will raise the other 50. We don't, we're going out of that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question. I just wonder, I know you have yard sales and bake sales, maybe a lot of other things.
I was asked this for this time. I was approached for some, I got some phone calls, and I just, this could blow you up here, you'd be a good time to answer that. I was approached about, asking you, when y'all get this building going, get it going good, it's good profit, someone comes along and wants to buy sell it to them. Would it be a possibility that we could get our 50,000 back if you sold it, and you know how it goes.
I couldn't answer that because I don't know.
Well, I've been asked that
It's already sitting on
question.
the authorization, once I
Right.
goes in there, we ought to get back out there. That money would probably go over to their audit.
Mhm.
I think this board has the right to stipulate what they want to do with their money. I think Keith and Johnny, I'll turn it over to them, but I think they have the right to stipulate that if it's a 501c nonprofit and y'all decide to sell that building to a private company, they have to come back to the city council. They have to come back to the city council, and the city council can demand $50,000.
But what about interest on that?
I don't know that I worry about
The
the
interest, I would certainly want the 50,000, should they do 2 or 3 things. One, Southern Craft just cease operations and dispose of the building. I would want the first 50,000 of it to be approved to come back to the city. And if you sold it to someone else, certainly I would expect
say that, I think even when you deal with the nursing home some, is that they would have to come back, that 501c, they would have to come back to the city council who's sitting here, do that, if it's 10 years down the road, 20 years down, come back to that city council, and that would have to be discussed, and what would happen to that city council. Because I would say, here, let's say that 10 to 20 years from now, Southern Prep changed and another nonprofit, because then the same setup as Southern Prep comes in, the city council could choose not to let it continue as a nonprofit, to choose, that's up to that city council at that time. I think the key to it is they have to come back to the city council. I think the fear is that, and it's just frustrating, but I understand. I think the fear is that if Southern Prep has this, that they'll turn around and sell that to it. The problem is, if they turn around and sell it to a private company and get $450,000, all that money is dispersed between nonprofits anyway. It's not a feasible thing to do.
Nobody's gonna make
It's
money off
just
it.
dispersed back to nonprofits, nobody gets money out of it. So that's it. And so,
I'd like to say one thing. Matter of fact, the state law requires us to have certain documents presented to us by them each year. And every 3 years, they have to make sure they submit their recertification for their paperwork and file. I think it's 901 or something like that for them every year, or a short EC or something. I mean, if there's some stuff they gotta do, that they have to keep their nonprofit exemption. But if they don't do that, then they're gonna, if they're reliable people, they're gonna take care of that. And then another thing about this, state law requires those reports to be given to us, and us to act on that. So there's a lot of things that you're protecting everybody if you stay up with your paperwork. It's not like you're just throwing the money out there and say, get it. And also, their board of directors, by state law and internal revenue code, cannot make a nickel. Cannot make a nickel on it. So nobody sitting on this board is gonna get a nickel. They can't even work there and get a salary out of it. Anybody that gets remuneration from that daycare, they can't work up there. There's a lot of things in there that affects this stuff and protects people. And it's not like we just throw money up in there and say, here, go get it. I wish we had enough to do that, but we don't. So we're gonna try to take care of the people we can. That includes everybody that submits the right paperwork and do the right thing. And we're gonna consider it just like everybody else.
I know what you'll say is not happening, but I don't want anyone to feel like that we're gonna hold somebody hostage for 20 years because.
I feel the same way. I think 10 years max would be I think they can make it to it. Then after that, it's gonna go by their bylaws back to the other 501c3s in the county anyway, and they're not gonna make any money. We can just hold them accountable for 10 years or 5, just to make sure. And after 5 years, they're gonna know if they're gonna be soluble or not. They're gonna know.
I look at this from the economic community development side, as Dwayne was talking about it. It's worth the 5,000. You spread it out over 10 years, John, say 50,000, 5 a year. It's gonna mean that much to the community, at least that much a year, 5,000 a year, to be able to have education. We need daycare available in the community. I know, Sylvia, you're limited to how many more people you can take with your license and your location. Not daycare, that much daycare available, especially from an academy standpoint. And so I'm looking at it from the education side of it. That's what I'm looking at. In 10 years, John, I'm happy with it, or whatever it is.
Okay, just a moment to get on the point you just said. There's 5 licensed daycares that I know of in Chester, in the city of Henderson. I don't know what's in it. There's 5, and I think they're, Southern Prep is one, and they're licensed for 90. East Chester Pre-K is for 80, but they only take ages 3 years to 5 years. Chester County Head Start, they're licensed for 80. They only take 34 months to 5 years. And then your tender loving care says you're licensed for 12. Is that correct?
Plus 30, so we have 15.
You got 15, okay. And then she does 6 weeks to 12 years, I think. And then Teddy Bear takes 6 weeks to 12 years, and they're licensed for 12. And so I see one area that, and I hate to bring it up, but if we can get Southern Trail going, then we can start looking at taking care of that situation in 2 years and try to, I know it's more expensive, take your babies, you got
But
more.
nobody's turned that down as far as the board. We just know we can't, climb the mountain.
You can't have one time, keep
One
running
time.
that way with magic wand, I understand it. But I would, if we do consider this, I would impress that upon your board and your staff, that they need to really start looking at trying to work on that 6 weeks to 2 year area, because I can see there's a drastic need. Now, to these other people here, I know there's unlicensed daycares, and you're allowed to have those, up to a certain amount. There's limits, and I know there's probably some that's got way more than a limit, but there's nobody checking them, you know, unless something bad happens. And Lord help us, we don't want anything bad to happen to any child. So, I said all I'm gonna say. I think I've taken it, I'm gonna send that back to
Can I
listen.
comment just one thing when you're talking about Head Start and East Chester? I want y'all to make sure that y'all aware that that is income based
Yeah, it is.
to get in there. So a lot of these parents here, 70% of our parents at Southern Prep Academy are homeowners in the city of county.
And you don't make
And they're stuck. You know, they're stuck because they need childcare, because they're a working mom and working dad and they have nowhere to go.
You're absolutely right. I had my note. I
I picked up on it.
forgot. Don't let me forget, I'm an old man, you know that.
I had a question about the time, the earliest time that people can bring, the kids to Southern Prep.
Okay, right now we are at 7, but the reason why we're at 7, we have been at 6, but I think because we didn't have any parents that needed that assistance at 6 a.m. We're open when it comes to time, but like I said, that means another shift. And also, and Ms. Sylvia can probably correct me on this, sometimes they can only be there 12 hours a day, am I correct? And so, when we get into that, we need to make sure that we will have a second shift and make sure parents understand, okay, you're gonna have to bring your child at this time, and you'll have to have them picked up by this time, versus people can bring their child at 8:30, can stay at 6. So, it's just the.
As you and I talked, you know, a 24/7 daycare is really the future of daycare,
It is,
because that's what manufacturing looks for.
right. And we're not saying that's ever, I mean, this is an opportunity for the community to come together and provide ability for our people, for daycare, and the sky's the limit. I mean, we're not locked into, this is the way it's gotta be.
So do you live in Chester County?
Only 82 years. I would just like to say that, all of you know me, most everybody knows me. We have one of the best school systems in the state of Tennessee. We have people moving in Chester County and Henderson, Tennessee, and surrounding counties with their kids in our schools.
wanted to come back home and become entrepreneurs and philanthropists and come back home and teach school. And we are seeing a trend of that here in Chester County more and more recently, of our folks doing that. And that pays huge dividends monetarily, but also in increasing our community awareness about different issues and et cetera. And the last thing I want to bring up, and then I'll let my husband take over, is there's another side of this that sometimes we miss, and that is the importance of good child care to a military family. And we have a military installation right here in our own town. And having spent over 20 years as a military spouse, whose husband was away for a lot of those years, and I was in charge of finding the daycare, and experienced some daycares that were not good, and so adding that stress on top of trying to go to college, take care of 3 young children, work a full-time job, not knowing if he would return home or not, was very difficult and added another stressor. And so if we can take that burden off the military families, that would be a great thing to do. I've worked with family readiness with the military on the local and the state level, and it is a huge stress when you have to call a soldier or a commander overseas and tell them that a family member is going through a lot of stress because they don't have daycare because they had to pull their child out of the daycare setting that was not good, or the home daycare setting is not good, or whatever. So you don't want a soldier worried about that. This is a prime opportunity to provide something that is of great value to many facets of our community. So we would be grateful for you all to consider that from a lot of different angles. And now I'm going to turn it over to.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I know Fred Norton used to have a daycare.
Right.
My son went there. So why did they get out of the daycare business?
I think it had a lot to do with cuts they were making at the time. I do not know all of that because I was not here. Like I said, I've only been here for a couple of years. So I'm not really sure about that, to be totally honest. I don't know. But again, this is, like I said, an opportunity for that collaboration. And I would say this is an opportunity too. Some of the board members, we've all discussed this. This is not a competition. This is an opportunity for collaboration. You know, this is an opportunity to provide another resource, another avenue for parents because it is limited. And so all of the daycares work together. There are licensing that Stacey's already mentioned that have to be done, that we can all work together to do together and make it a great community asset. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mayor, all the other officials. As been stated earlier, communities grow, and judging by street lights, we're 4 times bigger than we were when you were playing basketball out on the courts. And with that growth comes needs, and child care is one of those needs, and it's a need that really has 3 prongs to it. I know it's been a discussion over at the college. We have young professionals over there working that have small children that have child care needs. As a part of our faculty, staff, discussion meetings that we have campus-wide, and a lot of them have to get on dark and early on Highway 45 and drive to Jackson to drop their kids off, turn around and come back. And I think there's a safety issue there. How many accidents do we have on that stretch? And so I know for a fact that my oldest son got in a real bad wreck there and has permanent side effects from brain injuries as a result of that. And so there's a danger aspect to going there. I think there's an economic, people talk about that, it goes to something Alderman Smith has said. If I get off work down here working my manufacturing job, I gotta go up to Jackson to pick up my child, and I also need to go to the grocery store. Well, you know what? I'm already in Jackson. I'm just going to hit Kroger's. I'm going to hit Food Giant. I'm going to hit Walmart, as opposed to coming back home and hitting one of my local markets since I'm already up there. Or I pick up my kids. They're a little hungry. They want something to eat. I'm going to swing through the McDonald's in Jackson, here where I just pick them up instead of coming back to my home community and spending my dollars there in the local business, because I'm already up there picking up my child. And so when we expand our daycare facilities here in our own community, we are impacting a lot of different aspects when it comes to just the safety of being on the roads and the economics, and beyond that, attrition. I'm driving to Jackson for daycare now on business, I can't handle here. Maybe one adult in the household had to go there to get a job. Why don't we just move to Jackson? And then the one parent drive back to Chester County. So there's a lot of moving pieces that comes with everything a community has to think about, even when it comes right down to daycare availability, and it's something our community's lacking. And I think it was Alderman Smith, it may have been someone else that mentioned about industry, and it's something that industry looks at when they're coming to a community. We're gonna build an industry, we're gonna bring jobs to the industry, we're gonna hire young families that have young children. Does the community offer the assets that those families are gonna need? That's one of the boxes they check on their list. So it's a lot to go into the consideration of filling this void that's in our community with supporting the daycares that we have here in the community. And that's my input this evening.
Does anyone else like to address the board? Floor, you deputies. Go ahead.
Good evening. I am not a board member, but I do directly see the impact of daycare and having daycare. Our office started with just the two of us, and we started 12.5 years ago working from home, and we had two very small children there that we were taking care of while we were working and starting our business. So again, daycare's a big deal. And we had a program where we put our kids through 2 days a week, and that was great. That was good. We didn't have family here to help keep our kids. We didn't have other people to keep our kids. So we stayed home for a lot of that. We've got 12.5 years later, we've got 14 people working with us at Bradford Group, and there are several people who are looking at starting families. We've got one person who has a 7-month-old, and she's lucky enough to find someone that she can drop her son off with. But I know that options are needed, because everyone doesn't have someone to drop their children off with. And having a facility, having a daycare that meets that need is just a great thing. So when we're out selling our company to prospective employees, whether they're from Texas or whether they're from Union City or from Jackson, and we're asking them to move here, daycare is a discussion that we have with them. So it is an economic development issue, it is a business issue, it is a community issue, and I would strongly urge you to consider funding. Thank you.
Good evening to the mayor and to all of the gentlemen and to the young lady. Yeah, you left her out, Mr. Krabs. I get left out. Do you? And all the audience and everybody that's here. My question is to the board, what going to be the capacity of this building? I do know that 0 to 3 is infant toddlers, all right? There's so many square feet that each individual must have. So then we get into your preschoolers, you only have so many into a classroom. So what would be the capacity of the building, which would be a great deal of access here in Chester County also, but I was just wondering how big a building are you all talking about to cover?
I believe, unless they correct me, the building is 6,000 square feet.
And how many feet that's going to be for your infant area? If you only have so many children in it.
We do have somebody looking at that and working with DHS on getting that, make sure everything's properly, done. That is,
Because I know like with the 4-year-old or the 4 or 5-year-olds, you know, you got other areas that is also like the school, the historic and different ones. So, and then what will
does look like they'll be able to meet their
Yes.
plan. We asked them for a 5-year plan before. They presented us a 5-year plan on their attendance and stuff like that. And they did meet, that shows that they can probably meet that.
Thank you.
One more thing, just to kind of tie in on what Stacy's talking about. We also have currently a list, a waiting list already for children that are not at the age yet for our facility yet. On the list, Lauren and all them can sit there and answer that, but we do have a list already to expand our growth. So this is actually the only reason why we can't do it because of our space. That's why I'm moving into this new facility for ourselves. It helps us with potential growth for not just Henderson, but also for the Central County.
One thing I like about the potential location of the building they're looking at, is at the, Quinco Drive at the end on the left, the former machine shop was, and so the building is there, and I think from what I see in good shape. I thought that was a good location because we were talking about families that may have more than one child. You're dropping kids off on Main Street at the other schools. To me, it's an ideal location for Southern Prep to be. They can get it all in kind of one trip and make, you're not, Carl going back there, they're not going to Jackson. They can stop at our Donald's here, can't we? That's, I like the location of the building. I thought that was, and of course, all of this that we're considering is that they would first have the building, the loan arranged to acquire the building. Everything they have is going to have, my understanding, to go toward making the down payment or getting the loan. That's why you need the funds for the renovation. Is that correct?
I might say anybody who wants to know, these records are open records. You can get them at City Hall anytime you want them. You can go over them, look at it. There's just too many people to make packets for everyone. But it's open records. You drop by City Hall, Jim will give you a copy, anything you want to see. Okay?
I just want to ask one question. The numbers that you were reading off from my center, the section where I'm located in, will I go before the rezoning board to have that, I'm grandfathered in where I am. Do we go, this is my question, before I get it wrong.
No, I think you have to, go ahead.
How do you do that with going through that process?
Turn it to Greg again.
Okay. Hey, home daycare is what's allowed in any zone, so I don't.
Use permitted in it.
It is use permitted in any zone, so I don't
I think
think
it's
there
like
would be a
church, same kind of similar thing as church is, use permitted.
But that limits her to the number of kids she's providing for now.
I think that
If she
was.
wants to increase that limit, she would be required to be in a business type zone, or a still zone, I believe. So she'd have to request a zoning, which would be considered by the planning commission and by this board.
And yours technically, yours touches industrial, I mean, institutional.
Yeah.
Yours touches institutional,
Yeah, across
which is
the
a
street.
school across the street, yours touches institutional. It's not spot, yours wouldn't be spot zone. But it touches institutions just across the street. Does anyone else like to, yes, please?
Hello. I am a parent of a 4-year-old at Southern Prep, and I have a 2.5-year-old who is on the wait list because we don't have, out here, like Mr. Harris said, for under 2.5. We were driving to Selma, and I live and work here. I live down the street from Mr. Johnny, and we work on Church Street 4 minutes. And I was having to drive an
children to grow up with your children. I want that. That is very, very important to me. So, with that being said, I'm a single mother. I do not qualify for Head Start. I make too much money because I work. I, as a mom, am allowed to provide a home for my child because Southern Prep in my job at this county. So, I mean, Selmer does not offer that. This county to me is, everybody is so welcoming. I don't know if everybody say I get emotional, so I'm trying to be calm about it. But everybody here has been so very welcoming. Every other parent, every other, like you guys, I mean, you're listening to everyone and you said, I will stay here all night until 12 to hear what you say. Because I'm taking time out away from my daughter right now, who's having dinner with someone else, because it is so important for me. I want her to go to these schools. I want her to be a part of this community. My oldest daughter is a first grade teacher in McNair County, and let me tell you, y'all's county schools, y'all's city schools are amazing. You put so much into your youth, you really do, and it's inspiring to me, and that's what I want my kids to be a part of, these teachers. My child came at 2.5, which with a 1-year waiting limit, to get into any school here. Even if they close, I have no place to take her. She's not old enough to go to kindergarten yet, because her birthday's in the middle of September. So here I am, I work all these hours by myself. I have no family. My brother passed away 2 years ago. I don't have sisters, I don't have brothers, I don't have nobody for me who takes care of her. So when she started at that school, she was barely verbal. She did not interact well with other children, any of those things. And I knew that she was going to be difficult to deal with in that setting, and she had already had a bad experience in another daycare for a month and a half that I had to take her out of because it was constantly, it wasn't stable at all. So in a short period of time, y'all, in a month, my daughter went from not communicating to not wanting to interact with other children to just going and sitting in a corner, like, don't talk to me, whatever, because she was scared, to interacting using these big words, to being excited about learning, to being excited about playing with other children. She loves going to school. She loves it. She loves these other kids. I mean, it's a big part of our life. I work, I go home, my kids go to school. You know, it's like all of you guys do. But I don't even know where I would begin if this school isn't allowed to continue, because I've called in fear of them being closed in May, and I don't have anywhere else to take her. Literally, the waiting list is long. Everybody's maxed out, like Miss Sylvia, because if she's raised somebody else's children while they were working, who else are they going to take their grandbabies to? Or who else do they want to go to her because they know her. Just like I feel like I want to take them, they've done an amazing job. I cannot imagine my child having to start somewhere else and starting all that work we have spent 2 years doing. And many days they've called me and said she's had a bad day. I've had to come leave work and come and get her because it was so difficult. And it's not that she's a bad child or that she has learning disabilities or anything. It was overwhelming. And they did an amazing job. And that's all I wanted to say. But I don't know what I do. I spend my money in this county. I love this county. I want to be in this county. I want my child to grow up here. I want her to go to school here. And that's my goal. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. Very much so. And you should be proud of this county that you have your home to live with.
I would just like to say now, Head Start, I know 10% over guidelines, all right? We'll accept 10% over guidelines, in offense for Head Start, okay? We'll take 10% over guidelines,
anyone else want to address the board? Okay. I know tonight we have, I'm sorry, come on, yes ma'am, I apologize.
Mine's Mary. I don't live in Henderson. I don't have kids. I grew up in Adamsville, so right down the street. Grew up saying I would never, ever, ever go to school in Henderson or college. I would never work in Henderson. I would never want to live in Henderson. Never. I'm church cross, so I grew up with free. Said I wasn't going to do it. 2 degrees later from free Harvard, here I am. Thank you. I got to visit Southern Prep while I was at Freed with the program they have. Got to sit in on the classrooms, that was when they had infants. As I was a senior in school at Freed, I got to work at Southern Prep as a floater. Got to experience all the kids, from little bitty ones to our older children, our after school programs. I got ready to leave because I finished school. I was done with Henderson. Done, bye, see you later. And I got offered a position as a teacher at Southern Prep. I cried so many tears and began teaching there. I taught last year at Southern Prep. I had my own classroom, and it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I currently teach at the middle school here in Henderson. I drive 15 minutes to teach here in Henderson because, like someone else mentioned, the school system here is phenomenal. As someone who left school in McNairy County because I wasn't happy with what I was getting, so I just homeschooled myself, it's a big deal for me to come here and love the school system. As a young adult who is in a relationship and plans to get married and have children one day, and an educator, it matters to me that we have quality education. Not just a daycare, but a quality preschool, where children are going to grow academically, socially, emotionally, cognitively, not just somewhere where you're just going to babysit them, give them some toys, and give them a snack. So to see the community in Henderson to possibly take that away from its members, to take away a quality education, not saying that the other places here are not quality, but a place that has the capacity to serve a large number of children or a large number of families, it breaks my heart to see that possibly be taken away. As someone who was trying to convince my boyfriend that one day when we buy a house, to buy it here, to look for it here, because I love it here. I've convinced my mom to try to move here, my parents to move here, because it's a better school system. They work in the school system. And people like me, young adults, are not going to move here if we don't have somewhere to bring our babies one day. And something that wasn't mentioned, and that I want to mention because it's very important, is Henderson has a large number of foster care children. While I taught, I had 3 in my classroom at one time. And to have somewhere that those children know they're safe, those parents know that they are safe, that is going to nurture the whole child, especially after some of the things some of the babies have been through. That is so important. And as someone who wants to foster one day, that's one of the things I think about. Is where I go, is it going to be a safe place for my children? Whether they're my foster baby or my other baby, or biological baby, I guess. I want to know that it is safe and secure. And that's what Southern Prep is. That's what Southern Prep has been to a lot of people in this community. We mentioned military families, we've mentioned single moms, but I wanted to bring that up because that is really important to this community. I know I've known several that even the school age program that have brought their kids because they knew that Southern Prep was a safe place. So I just wanted to throw that out there as another thing to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else?
I've waited all night and nobody's brought this up, so it's still bugging me. Why are we doing this as why is this not being done as a private company like Bramlett Group put themselves into business? I put myself into business. Mr. Manus put himself into business. We all put ourselves into business. Why is this not being done as a private concern rather than the city, county, and others being involved in it? And is there a difference? Is this truly a non-profit? Or is it a not-for-profit?
Well, there's a not-for-profit.
Okay.
And that's completely different
Which
than
one
a
is this?
non-profit. This is a non-profit,
This is a non-profit.
which is different from, well, West Tennessee Healthcare is a non-profit.
non-profit charity. Put it as a non-profit charity, it falls under the charity guidelines. And that's what it falls. Not a person here from that board will make $1 million.
No, the board's not paying.
Then everybody that gets any money with this, they'll either go back into Southern Trail, pay salaries and renovations and good stuff to them. As far as anybody on the board, they can't even work there and draw salary.
It is a business, yes, it's very much a business.
I was going to talk to Stacy, I guess, I don't know, ages ago, about maybe moving my granddaughter here from, Bethel Springs to go to school at Southern Prep. And I honestly thought that it was just a private, business, like I said, Family Group and Stacy's Southern Sheep, I guess it is. All of these places that just went into business for themselves, I thought it was just a private business. But tonight I'm hearing that evidently it's not.
It is business, but it's registered as a non-profit. So like this contribution that has obviously already been decided is going their way, but once it's got, they don't have to pay taxes on it. Because it's a non-profit, not a not-for-profit. They're two different types.
Yeah, I understand. I've been asking questions to some people, and some people hate to see me coming, because I've been doing a whole lot of question asking, because I didn't
Well, it's okay.
understand it. So,
It's okay.
and if I missed you, I don't think I've been seeing Mark, I try to catch up. Anyway, I just was some
And you
clarification.
asked a good question, you asked why they, profit is the biggest one of it. I think there's a lot of reasons to assign that everything. Number one, there's not a lot of profit to be made, number one. Number two, the liability and different things like that, and the regulations. That's why we only have 3 actual daycares here that are not related to Head Start or pre-K at the schools, is because there's just not any money. They're not, people got out of it. Freed Hardeman got out of it probably 10 years ago, maybe more, because one of the same bridges was cut because they couldn't afford to keep the staff going. Because of so you're going to see more and more non-profit charity. And the charitable thing really needs to be put in there. It's a non-profit charity. When you look at the guys.
I need to talk to Jim, set me up that
But anyway, that's what it is. Thank you.
Let me take about just 2 minutes. Let me say something like that. I've been on this board for a while, and I'm very proud of this board from the day when I got here, because when we first got here, we took a big step, we took cuts in the city, and a whole lot of things when I first got here. Now, for the city of Henderson, I look around the city now, and I think it's a beautiful place. We've had a lot of people to come in here and to ask us the same reason that you're giving now. They gave the same reasons about business coming in. This board has listened to everyone that has came up here and has requested something. And for the city of, citizens of Henderson, we listen. We take the time. We just don't go there because we know a person or don't know this person. Every decision that we make, we think about it. And it's a long thought process. And the impact of what it's going to do for the city, not for 2 years, but 5, 10, 20 years down the road. We've been made part look great. Dennis was talking in fact about where we have, I was in that same community. We try to reach out to where people can come together, where everybody's not stagnated in one community, to where we can come together as one. And times have changed. People are not as nice as they used to be. People don't let you use their yards like we used to. And that's to say that the commentary is made, because this is a beautiful city. One thing about it is that when you come in here, this board is going to listen to you. And we're going to listen with open ears. And like Bobby said, it doesn't matter if it's all money. We're willing to do it. The county and the city have also, over the years that I've been here, I think we've worked well together. I think whenever the city came up with a match, that the county tried to also. Because one thing you got to understand, everybody that's walked up here has not said the city of Henderson, they said the county and the city.
before we close, we're still in delegation. I noticed we have several county commissioners here. Is there, I'll be honest, I would like to know if any county commissioner has any question or anything they'd like to ask or input or anything they would like to do before we close, delegation can go to the agenda item. Anybody here would like to speak or ask any question? Okay, at this time, I'm going to close our delegation section and then turn this over to the city council. And as I say, the first item was item C, which was delayed, which is put off to next month. The next item on the agenda was item D, which is simply discuss and consider a request from Southern Prep Academy conferring funding assistance to renovate a building they wish to purchase for the preschool. What is the pleasure of the board?
I would, it's my understanding, Stacy, correct me, that there's an understanding with the church that if y'all are making sufficient plans and progress toward the building on Quinco, that they will let you stay past the May 31st deadline.
Yes, our rent does go double after that, so just to keep that in mind, our rent does double, come May. So, that's just something that's why this is so urgent, is because that will hurt us financially. We will struggle a little bit those months, but that's why it's so urgent to get this going.
I'd like to make a motion that once Southern Prep acquires the loan property on Quinco Drive, given some of the guidelines that we talked about, with them coming back to us, should their 501c3 status change, I'd make the motion that the city of Henderson provide them $50,000 to use toward the renovation of the building.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. We have anybody on the board like to comment before we take the vote?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like, since this is unappropriated funds, and we haven't had budget this year, I'd like to roll call vote, please.
Is anybody else before we take the vote would like to comment?
Where are we talking about or keep?
General unclassified, isn't it, Jim?
That is the only place to get in this kind of funds, yes.
How much, our balance is sufficient to cover that, I'm sure. Yes, I look.
Currently, the balance in general fund unclassified is $172,000.
And you'd like to keep 400,000 with wage or that?
We've got 200 in rainy day. Remember, we split. This year, because of that, we split and had a rainy day fund that we split 400 into 200. So we got 2 in one fund and 2 in another fund. We've also sold this year that we did not expect to do. We sold 2 pieces of property for 100, one for 75 and one for 100. So that's in this year's budget too. So does anyone else have any other thing that they would like to? At this time, roll call vote, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Butler?
No.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
5 voting in favor, 1 against.
So I vote for motion passed. Okay. Next up, I'd like to say thank everyone, and thank everyone for, I guess that's probably one of the longest delegations we've ever had today, so I'd like to thank everyone. Next item on the agenda is to consider changes to utility park regulations concerning septic tank hauler.
We currently only have one permit hauler permit that's coming to the East Lagoon. We don't allow septic tank haulers to dump in the North Lagoon. It's where our permitted industry go. We're going to be in a situation where we have somebody say, well, okay, how do you know this need is down there? We have some of the industry there. We don't allow septic haulers to go in there. It's currently being going to the East Lagoon. East Lagoon is, it was built as a single cell lagoon. Sits about the water. It's a package of lagoons. Currently, under the last state orders, if you look at ISE, we've had a number of permit violations on the East Lagoon, primarily on the pounds per day of loading into the lagoon. Septic waste is it's actually an anaerobic waste. have those things in place. It's very little usage of that, and since we've got some loading issues on that lagoon, it would be my recommendation that we don't renew the permits when they come up, and that going forward in the future, if somebody calls me, you know, there's always this issue of, okay, what are you gonna haul, where are you gonna get it from? Even the porta potty people who do these porta potties that has come out of the hives and things like that, and so you get into an issue where we're not gonna hit, we probably shouldn't take a chance on destroying the biological treatment that we have. And that's kind of where I'm coming from, and if you look at item E, there is, all of those, with the exception of a couple, are loading, barrels per day of loading into the engine, and that's, that would be reduced by.
I mean, all the people, this is city lagoons, people in the city are on the city sewer system. So it's not really serving, it's not, you go to where, it's not coming,
Yeah.
but we're not serving the people in Henderson. Letting somebody come in with septic.
If they this county or another county, or you just really don't know?
Well, they're supposed to turn in a manifest, but at the
Yeah.
same time, there's no testing done to verify exactly where it comes from. It could be a grease trap somewhere, which is not supposed to go in.
I'll make a motion that you write it into your records and that you don't issue any new permits to dump that, and don't do it any over the future once they expire.
Have a motion to stop issuing permits, and when permits expire, to quit taking it. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
You have it, I'm sorry.
We'll clarify one thing, if we had a problem with a city business, we had a pumper come in and say, we had a business in town that had to have a wet well pump, if they got their own pumping station, if they had to have, you know, like, we have to have one of our lift stations pumped because the pump goes down, that would still go there.
Be the only exception
It
to
would
that.
have to be a city entity or an entity in the city.
That'd be at your discretion.
Yes.
Have a motion by Alderman Fair, second by
Second.
Alderman Butler. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the approved 15 natural gas meters for inventory at total cost of $5,136.
That's for all of them, or?
No, we've got the AMR system going in, and we've identified a number of meters. We normally keep a number of residential pipe meters in stock. We've identified a number of meters that may be in excess of 20 years old, 15, 20 years old, and we're trying to change a lot of those. They're recommended to be changed every 15 years anyway. Some of ours are probably 25 or plus. And so, not really wanting to put the brand new equipment on older meters, we're trying to get some of the metering situation cleared up. I'm trying to reduce the amount of gas loss. Older meters are tough to perform as they should, and so this is part of that kind of ongoing progress to improve the overall system.
I make a motion to approve the purchase.
Have a motion to approve the purchase. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item in other business, Jim.
Okay, we talked about this a couple months ago when my cube was here. This year, due to changes in the accounting regulations, GASB required us to book an OPEB liability concerning retirees' health insurance. We made it clear that night, and I want to restate it again. We do not pay for retirees' health insurance, but they do have the option to keep it under our plan after retirement, but they have to pay 100% of the premium. And that's the way we've always been. Under these new regulations, financially, we got to book a liability for that, even though we don't pay any money for it. That's one thing we're an accounting people don't like this on you. But either way, that's where we are, and they are requiring us to say whether we're going to opt in, which basically means we're still going to allow retirees to take that if they want to, or opt out, which means if you have someone retires, they will not be able to continue their health insurance, even if they pay for it. And because the liability got put this past year, I think it was claimed $162,000. It only shows up on the citywide financial statement. It does not affect profit and loss. It does not affect anything other than it's a number in our large many numbers on our accounting statement. Because we can opt out any year coming in the future, my recommendation is to stay in now. Let's see what the new liability is, because we had to look at the total liability in 1 year. Next year, it may increase or decrease a very small amount. So it will not make any major changes to our financial statement. And until we see another year, let's just wait. And we can still opt out at a later date. This still will allow retirees to keep their health insurance if they want to pay the premium. It has been many years since any retiree has done that, because most of them are either already 65, or they go somewhere else and get it cheaper, because our insurance is not cheap when they're paying 100% of the premium. So I hope you understand. Basically, I just need a motion, if you will set my recommendation to still continue the retirees' health insurance, with us paying 0% of the premium for the retirees if they retire. And we can discuss it again another year.
Just a question. So you're gonna book the 162 one time, and then they tell you what percentage you
Yeah,
add
the
to
state
the
health insurance plan, which is what we're in, sends us that liability to look each year. So it will be adjusted up or down based on the number of employees we have that are reaching retirement. There's a formula, an actuary done. Actuaries are a whole nother accounting breed in themselves. And they basically send us a number and say, you've got to book this liability. And we will see what the adjustment is in the coming, for the new year audit, June 30th. And as I said, it may go up or it may go down. It will not fluctuate, it won't double by anything. It may go up $2,000 or $3,000 a year is what I'm projecting.
Yeah, we're not talking real money.
No, it's not real money. We will never have to pay it. It doesn't come out of our pocket. And it's just an accounting term, and it's something you gotta look into.
I'll make the motion that we accept the recommendation.
A motion to accept the recommendation of the city recorder. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, audit.
Yes, it was not time to get on the printed, agenda, but our audit contract came in from ATA for the coming year. You've got a report I laid in front of you showing the history of what we paid for our annual audit for the city and the utilities. The current, I lost my copy of that, but it's what, $26,570 projected for the coming year. If we're required to have a single audit fee, which means we got a certain number of federal dollars that we have to have a single audit, which is additional work and different reporting. It's an additional $3,750. This year, we're going to be pushing having to have a single audit because East Main is federal dollars, the money we're getting for East Main project. So we're going to be real close to that $750,000 threshold. So we may have to pay that this year. But that's only 3% increase over the prior year. I'd recommend hiring them again for this year's audit for June 30th.
I'll make the motion that we get ATA to continue doing the audit for the city of Henderson.
Have a motion to continue the ATA. Do I have a second? Johnny seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Chief, you have anything?
I just want to let the board know that our construction on our offices downstairs is complete. I invite you to come out and look at it. It really looks good and come under budget. Also, I want to brag on our K-9 unit a little bit. It made a big drug case this weekend on 45 when we seized the F-250 pickup and 3 pounds of marijuana we got off the streets. The street cost around $7,000 to $10,000 worth of drugs.
Next month, we'll be bringing you some numbers about upgrade and some maintenance on the GIS system. We're going to get some quotes or pricing on upgrading that equipment. It's time to do that. And we'll also have 2 regional rezoning requests coming to this board. They've got a positive recommendation from the planning commission. So those are a couple things that we on from the building department zoning at next month.
On one of those, I suggest that you give a friend on because it was, there was some debate on that with the people involved on both sides. And I would assume they're going to, I would hope you, Johnny, I would assume they're going to come back.
We'll try to get you the information packet ahead of time. So if you do, you can look at it. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer those.
I'm saying, because So Johnny and I didn't vote the same way on that one, so, that's one that you know that it's gonna, definitely gonna be some discussion on it when it comes.
That's on the AMR project, we did get a storage box delivered from the company that's doing the meter changeout program. We've got all of the water meters came in that are now stored in a storage facility that they provided. And we're waiting on the gas materials, and hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, they'll get started on that project. And hopefully the time frame looks like about 2 months to complete once they start. So that project is still moving forward. We just completed the annual audit from the Tennessee Regulatory Public Utility Commission. That audit was completed today. They didn't find any violations during this inspection period. There were a couple of recommendations that they make or wanted to see implemented for next year. One was a written procedure for the storage and handling of plastic pipe. We were real happy with keeping pipe outside, so we need to address storage issue with some type of building. And then we have
Just no items with that.
so
Like to get your plug in there.
and so they wanted some written procedures and changes for abnormal conditions when we fuse, electric fuse piping, and that was about the only areas that wanted some improvements in our public awareness, and we're looking at ways to kind of implement that going forward. We did have the required wording and verbiage and all of that on our website, but we did have some things on the back of our building. We did a couple of times a year that we need to include. And but other than that, we did really well. Looking at metering, we've made some significant changes. We've started putting some of the correctors on some of our bigger meters, where the meters are how we do business. We had last year a calculated loss of about 9.89% on the gas side. It was actually right around that. We corrected that for some issues that we were aware of, made that overall for the year 8.64 with some of the changes we've implemented so far. The 2018 number will be more like 3.98%. So we're making headway in making changes to these meters, and these meters that we're installing, correctors and things are compatible with our AMR. And we created a industrial route so that all of our big meters will have somebody that actually puts their eyes on those meters every month. Because those meters, if they start having errors or having problems or whatever, we have the potential of being detrimental to the gas system. That's all.
I think, how much damage do you have down, tree damage? I think y'all were out most of the day getting trees. How many trees we have in there coming down the block?
We had 2 on Galvin, and you had 1 on 30th Street.
Jim?
I do have a statement. I've gotten a lot of calls and texts and letters from people, taxpayers, about this particular topic that we knew we were going to discuss tonight. And it was already decided, I know, before I got here how it was going to go, and I knew I was going to be the only no vote. And I'm not ashamed of my vote. But it's done now. But I do want to very much publicly apologize to those city taxpayers that have called me that was definitely did not want to share the burden of this. very apologetic to those senior citizens who are living on fixed incomes. And they too have worked all their life and were responsible parents and took care of their children or found a way to take care of their children. Some were single parents. But now here they are, they're trying to decide, is it physically feasible for them to eat or to take their full medication prescription? And now we have taken their hard-earned taxpayer dollars and helped someone start a business. As King Solomon, the author of Ecclesiastes and Proverbs, says, and he looks at the whole human enterprise, he warns about greed and the love of money. He says it's a chasing after the wind, meaningless. And I'm thinking of Ecclesiastes 5:10 and Proverbs 15 and 27. And then further, what's really sad is because I love Chester County. I've been here 61 years. I love Henderson. I love its people. But this divisive and controversial and adversarial way that certainly was conducted at the county meeting, it was totally unnecessary and quite frightening, and certainly for the little children that were there. I felt very sorry for the little children. They did not understand why the adults were screaming, and that upset them. And I really, really felt sorry for them, and I prayed much about it. And I think of Proverbs 15, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 18. And also in Paul's letter to Titus, when they reminds
know it's gonna be my way.
But you know, I'm third.
I think for that. And another thing, I think the Lord Savior said to take care of the little children. And when you look at the little children, and I think tonight we made a decision to have some children in this community. I had one person come to me and said, don't you vote for that? And I know you know, one person. I had probably 35 people, citizens, voting and told me, I think we need to do this. So I don't think anybody knew how I was going to vote, and I hate that indication. I thought better than that, I really did, if somebody could say that. But other than that, that's all I'm gonna say about it. I think I made my decision for Johnny Ferris, and I think I made the right decision. 10 years may prove me wrong, but I don't think so. I made a vote about 25 years ago to purchase money for a city park, to buy that Virginia Record Park. I took more cussings and more ridicule over that. We go look at it, we don't know, you gotta have a little bit. Folks, I'm just saying, how big, and that's all I'll say.
Well, I'd like to say that, I voted tonight, I voted my heart. And I've been thinking about this for quite a while. At one time I wasn't, then again I get to thinking about the kids involved, and I appreciate y'all coming here tonight and telling about what you did. And this could have been a better deal if Monday night, if it would probably been done a little bit different. But everyone I've talked to, they're blaming on my son-in-law back there because he didn't do a good job doing what he did. That's one talk, that I've heard. But anyway, for a guy, he didn't have nothing to do with it. But anyway, I voted my heart. I looked out and I think these children, these parents, bring them to school. The kids don't know, they don't know what goes on. They just want a good place to play. And it's left up to us to have them a place to play. And like I say, this is the way I was going to speak a while ago, but I knew it was going to go the way it went. I just want to go. I knew it. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't think it would go. Get many yes votes. But I'm glad it did. I think it's a good thing. And just like I said, when I come to this, when I was elected 12 years ago, Sunday, I wanted to do things to better Chester County. A lot of things I don't like. But, and a lot of things that I see that, I like what you do, but that does not affect my vote, the way I vote. I vote my heart. And when I leave this office or this alderman post that I have, I want to see the city of Henderson in a lot better shape. And I believe that we made the right decision tonight by voting yes. So, about it.
Well, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna really take it when I say this. Right now, I say we're gonna be civil, and I really want to be civil. But the mission statement of the city of Henderson is very simple. It's to improve the quality of life of the people we represent. And you have to weigh that and look at it. And I think this board, the 5 people that voted for that, honestly improve the quality of life for the people they represent. And that's just simple, that's what this is all about. And the question I want to say, and I know about this, that if in the situation with it, I got an email today from the assistant director, the assistant commissioner of economic development, of the rural development, Sam Yarn. And they're talking, this issue is an issue that's across the entire state. The lack of daycare in rural Tennessee and how they're trying to address with it from the point of taking manufacturers and giving manufacturers incentives that we do all the time.
to have daycare in their factories. They're going now, they're partnering now with Human Services to give money to, and I think you'll see exactly what we did tonight is what the state of Tennessee will start doing. According to Sammy Arnold, that's what they're going to start looking at, nonprofit charities to try to do this, because this is a huge hole in rural Tennessee. But I'm honest as I can be. We make decisions, and we should make every decision what we think will improve the quality of life of the people we represent. And I don't think the 5 that vote will ever say they did not think about that and didn't make that decision. You can disagree with us. I respect you to disagree with us. I respect, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we have to make those decisions. And I think the 5 that voted the way they voted made the right decision. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say before we leave? At that time, I'd have to say.
I would like to say something.
Which one? I really could, but Mr. Boyd, it's your floor. We've been here, and I'll tell you what, we can stay a little longer.
Mr. Mayor and everybody else, all I would like to say, I appreciate what each and every one of you all said up there. As a taxpaying citizen, we do need more daycares in this area. However, I appreciate, and just like the decision that was made tonight, we should be able to agree to disagree. We also, the Lord has opened up doors. This has opened up doors for so many others to walk through. All right, now like you just talking about with the centers within the realm of the state of Tennessee, they are needed. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all's decision, because I do believe it was from your heart, and I do believe, and those scriptures that you said was such a blessing, because we are a Bible base, and we believe in what is right and not what's wrong. And our conduct, the way we conduct ourselves, says a whole lot about Chester County and the city of Henderson. Thank you all so much for everything that you all said tonight of the comments.
I just want to say, Donna, I'm sorry that you have felt personally attacked with this. I'm speaking for myself on the board and being at the county commissioners meeting the other night. And I think the 2 commissioners in my district that I have talked with, being Andrea and Jackie. Andrea was a yes vote the other night, and Jackie was a no. Jackie, I don't think I personally attacked you or did anything to you in any way. I think we actually had a very good, decent conversation on the phone yesterday, and I told you that I can always agree to disagree, and that you have the right to vote the way that you felt you needed to vote. And I don't think that I ever argued that.
That's true. I think anybody has a right to vote here.
So he voted no, but I had an hour-long conversation with this man. And we could agree to disagree and walk away and be civil. So by saying that it turned just god-awful bad the other night and that everything was negative, I didn't walk away with the negative. I called him and thanked him for his seat on our commission board and thanked him for giving me the time. Just because I present my case to him doesn't mean that he's got to vote the way I want him to. I have to respect his vote as well, just like Donna tonight, I respect your votes. I don't condone anybody for the way they vote. That is their right. But I was able to have just a pleasant conversation with him, just as I did with Andrea. And so I think to say the other night emotions were high, they were high the other night because the academy and the parents and support didn't get an opportunity to speak. Others were given an opportunity to speak, and no one from Southern Prep had the opportunity to speak. And I think that's where some of the emotions come from. But I don't want everybody to think that we left bashing our commission I looked today, we had a 54-minute conversation, and I don't think we've had a crossword.
We did not, and I appreciate that part of it. But I did receive an email from a fellow commissioner that was not very happy with any of the commissioners. He called us ignorant.
Yes, I did.
And I don't think that's shows a good character, you gentlemen. So I'm calling you out on that, I don't think that's right.
I believe I asked you to comment on it.
At this time, I think, really, truly, at this time, I think we need to adjourn. And I think it's time, it's been a long night, it's been a very sincere, it's been a long night.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Thank y'all.